So I don't think I've seen anyone talk about the opening credits of Secret Invasion, but I think it's kind of interesting, so I'm going to talk about it. Someone probably might have already done this better than me, but I'm going to give it my best shot. Now, before I get into it, I've heard that it's created by AI. I don't really like that. Personally, I would have wished that they hired an actual graphic designer to create it, but that's kind of a moot point at this junction. Although they may have used AI specifically to create a sort of distorted imagery, we all know AI can only replicate other things and not create its own thing, whether that's a parallel to the Skrulls themselves as they're trying to build a new world. I'm not super sure yet, but I guess you could think about it that way if it really bothers you. So diving into the opening credits, it starts off showing how their homeworld, Skrulls, was destroyed and everything blows up, and it's all in green, which is obviously the Skrull colors. It kind of looks like some sort of eruption or maybe an impact. If you look really carefully, you can see some spaceships leaving what looks like a planet in the middle of blowing up. Also, a major part of the Skrull society is this present timeline is that they are scattered throughout the galaxy until we found out later now that they're on Earth, but this image shows them scattering. You can see a Skrull aircraft and then there's a lone figure. Maybe they're settling on Earth or maybe they're just representative of settling on different planets. This one took me a while and I almost missed it, but these oblong shapes I thought were clouds are actually Skrull ships over what looks like the skyline of New York. Now, throughout the opening credits, we see a bunch of landmarks throughout the world. I think there's Russia and England. Obviously, I just mentioned New York. If you look really carefully, you can see the people walking by in front of these landmarks slowly morph into Skrulls, which reiterates that the Skrulls are among us and they are all over the world. And these government-esque or historic buildings are all in green, except for the White House, which might mean that all these other nations that are covered in green are under the Skrulls' influence, and maybe the White House, for now, is the only one left standing, but that could change. And even though the White House remains its original color, the green clouds loom ominously overhead, which again, I think means that they are definitely going to descend to try and take over all the world leaders, so we'll see what happens. I think this man is a depiction of the United Nations leader that we saw in episode 2. And now we see a chessboard. This entire show feels like one gigantic chess game between the Skrulls, Fury, and the government. Now, I'm not an expert on chess, but I believe these chess pieces are shifting between the bishop, the queen, and then the king. I notice how these chess pieces are green, which Skrulls, and the queen is the most powerful piece on the chessboard, so there's a couple of players I think this could mean, but overall I think the general 3 chess pieces of bishop, queen, and king are Gravik, Gia, and Fury, respectively. And then at the very end of the credits, we see a Skrull eye, and it looks like this might be some organic material inside. There's some extra stuff happening within the iris, and I think this could be reference to the process of making a super Skrull that I think Gravik is trying to achieve for himself. So yeah, these are what I noticed in the opening credits. In fact, I'm going to be watching the opening credits for every episode because I do have a feeling there might be some hidden details that do change over time. But did I miss anything? Let me know. If you think I should make more Secret Invasion content, also let me know that as well.